everyone, I'm Steve Kephart, coming to you here from the greater Cedar Rapids, Iowa area. We got some new platforms that's going up. I have was going to try. I tried running for Congress in 2024. Didn't really pan out very well, as I kind of a new experience to it. So, but we're going to work on hopefully getting back working on that here shortly. Um, I've been political my whole life. Not really my whole life, but things started waking me up, and now I'm here. Uh, People might call me a conspiracy theorist. I unfortunately do not call myself a conspiracy theorist. I try to look at all the facts, and we look at all the facts that are going on anymore. Democrats, of course, lying about every little thing. We've got the cabinet picks going through the Senate committees right now, and I have to agree. I heard this a couple of different people. Why do we have to go through this dang process of these picks that we voted for the president, whoever won, according to the Electoral College, he's now in charge of the executive branch. So he gets to hire who he wants to hire. But now these picks got to go through the Senate to be confirmed to be able to work underneath the executive branch, which it's really funny. I mean, we don't take all the interns and the chief of staffs of every representative and senator and even the Supreme Court, their clerks. We don't make them go through hearings to figure out who they are and where their beliefs are and everything like that. I think each congressional person, every person that we have elected, they get to pick their own staff. So why can't the president pick his own staff? Why do we have to go through this? This stuff doesn't go on in hardly any other countries but ours. It's a very unique process, and it's a very unique constitution. We'll break that down. Very brilliantly wrote, but I think in some of the interpretations, especially going through the Supreme Court, a lot of the interpretations of the constitutions have been bastardized. Feelings got in the way of what actual laws are as defined in the Constitution, and that's a whole subject with the Supreme Court. I don't think but a few have actually ever really been scholars of the Constitution. We've seen a little bit with Amy Coney Barrett that she's been a turncoat for us. So, but going through these picks, the Democrats are throwing. Of course, they're going to throw every little thing they can at these picks that Mr. Trump has rightfully gone through and vetted and felt that these are the best ones for the job. And we should be able to trust their decision. I mean, it goes for who's ever president. I really didn't like it when going through Biden. These people, 99% of them get pushed through anyway, because at that point in time, you usually have the Senate anyway is always controlled by who's ever most of the time as president. So they usually get all their picks. Both sides end up voting for them, so it doesn't matter. But they're trying to really grill them, really trying to attack them, of course. But Trump's got some great picks. I was kind of thinking the other day, I need to kind of play it out, but most of his picks for these positions are kind of the forgotten generation, my generation, Generation X. We grew up, we're the last group to grow up without safety labels on every little thing. We were the ones kind of sitting back chuckling when that lady won that lawsuit against McDonald's for having the hot coffee. Now, I know there's a lot to that story. They refused to pay medical bills, and that's why it ended up so bad. But again, why do we need to have safety levels on it? Darwin, get Darwin awards. I really, that's the Generation X. I mean, we had jarts and all this other cool stuff. We didn't have the internet. Thankfully, nobody filmed. We didn't have video recording and a little, you're recording on your phone all day long of every little thing that can go on. So, but, we're rough and tumble, and we got a lot of one-liners and quick comebacks. We grew up with some of those quick comebacks of the comedians and stuff that we had growing up. It's we're always called smartasses, and it was kind of funny when my son had a wrestling meet, and I went up to it, and I go there, and he was in between matches. He was sitting with a couple of friends, and they're all girls, 3 girls, and they were saying something I really wasn't paying attention. And he come back with some smart aleck thing, and the girls look at me and go, your son is quite the smart ass. I had to sit there. I kind of chuckled and shook my head and said, where do you think he got it from? I'm quick to make a joke, and you give it out, you take it, and that's Generation X. And we're not. That's majority of these picks are your Generation X. We're not going to take it anymore. I mean, because right away he's still technically, I guess, would be a millennial, but and I'm towards the end of Gen X, but it's still it's really funny. We're not going to take this crap anymore. They're trying to get the gotcha questions having to do with, do you believe, with Pam Bondi, do you believe that the 2020 election was stolen? You can't ever question it. You question anything having to do with the government or the narrative, you're automatically going to be crucified. If you're on the one side, if you're conservative leaning, you don't get that right to question what the Democrats are saying, the far left. And most of I will consider most all Democrats, if you're a Democrat at this point in time, 2025, beginning of this year, if you're a Democrat, you're far left. Otherwise, you would been voted for Trump instead of trying to keep on with this cabal of Democrats that have been ruining our nation for a long time, and I'll include the neocons, the rhinos, the Bush family. I mean, you go back, there was no difference between George H.W. Bush and Bill Clinton. Their ties went back into the 70s, working hand in hand with running cocaine up into the United States. So, figure that one out. CIA made crack and got people addicted to help destroy the nuclear family, because we had a crime to boost crime up. We get the 94 crime bill. We could start throwing more black men in jail, and all sponsored by great black people, minority loving Joe Biden. But we can keep going on. And these are all conspiracy theories. When for the longest time, people telling me this stuff, it's all there. It's not a conspiracy theory to question the narrative. You should never trust your government, ever. I don't care which government you're in. You should never trust them. It's a famous line from Ronald Reagan: the 9 worst words in the English language. I'm from the government, and I'm here to help. Well, you see how well they helped out our great brethren there in Western North Carolina. I mean, they're kicking them out of tents. They're kicking them out of those small homes that the Amish went in there and helped build. But at the same point in time, we've got Joe Biden already saying, "Yeah, we're going to rebuild LA. You have 100% backing." So you lose a $10 million home in LA, and you're going to get the $10 million to rebuild it. But these people lose $150,000 home on their land, and here's $700. And by the way, you need to repay that $700. I mean, I just was looking at an old email with having to do with FEMA too. I mean, we had this great flood here in Cedar Rapids, Iowa in 2008. We had a nice derecho in 2020. Both times FEMA was promised. 2008, when we had the great flood, we had Obama and we had McCain coming through here. They went through some of the areas that I grew up as a kid. I didn't grow up in Cedar Rapids. Grew up north of here, but I was always down in Cedar Rapids with my family, and it was all devastated area by this flood. And both these candidates swearing up and down that, well, you're going to get money and FEMA's right there to help you out, but nobody qualified. The people that did qualify didn't get anything really. There wasn't hardly any temporary housing put up down here to help them out. And then we had our derecho in 2020 to devastate this whole area too. Got rid of 60% or at least 60% of our tree canopy. We had a category 5 hurricane wind go through Cedar Rapids, Iowa. So FEMA wasn't. FEMA funds, I guess, are still available, but nobody seems to have qualified for it. I know where we live right now, it was affected a little bit. Didn't qualify for FEMA. Well, what good is FEMA if you don't qualify? But at the same point in time, in 2008 that we flooded, we had Katrina was the year before that or so down in New Orleans, and they got plenty of help. It just goes to show you, we're flyover country here in Iowa, and I'd love to change that whole narrative. I know Mr. Trump, our president, is very supportive of us here in Iowa. He realized how important we are. He did spend a bunch of time in Iowa. I've seen him a few times here in Iowa at different locations, but he's trying to look out for the farmers. I mean, that was some of the first things that he tackled when he was president the first time, was helping farmers, because we've been getting a raw deal from China over for how long? And it's been designed that way. It's been designed that we sell our soul pretty much to China because we are their number one consumer. And that's why we can negotiate a little bit better trade deals and charge more tariffs, is because without the United States purchasing all the China's goods, what's China going to do? What if we start pulling all those stuff back here and start doing more of our electronics and stuff here? We can do it. The unions and stuff has pushed a lot of this labor market overseas, and NAFTA didn't help much in the 90s, but labor unions have driven, and with inflation along with everything else, has driven the cost of everything through the roof. It's still not worth what it is. I mean, the prices that we pay for stuff coming out of China is what it actually is worth. I mean, we've went to a throwaway market, and that started back in the 70s. The throwaway stuff, we started more plastics and everything else. I mean, the automotive industry, the Pintos, the Gremlins, those kind of cars, the Monzas, those were throwaway cars. You were supposed to buy that car brand new, drive it for a couple of years, and then you took it to the junkyard and had it crushed, and you went out and bought another new car. You weren't supposed to get outside once your warranty expired. You're supposed to buy another new car, but prices of those kept going up higher and higher and higher. Inflation's went through the roof, especially under Carter and everything, and into with Reagan and everything. And we just keep printing more and more money. It's just not worth it. The whole system needs to pretty much collapse. I mean, it's all a make-believe system if you get down to the brass tacks of what our whole Federal Reserve and our money system actually is. I mean, it's literally nothing. It is a piece of paper backed up by another piece of paper that, if both burned, you'd be left with just ashes, and you wouldn't be able to do nothing with that. So this is designed that way. It was to make people appear richer than what they are. It gives them the opportunity then to squeeze the middle class harder and harder, especially with taxes, to purchase more and more land. I mean, you look at land ownership now. Bill Gates is the number one owner of farmland in the United States. Why does he have to own a million acres of? I don't think it's that many acres, but why do you have to own over 500,000 acres of farmland? You're not a farmer. Now you are paying people. You're kicking some of these. You've bought up at cheap, or didn't even matter if it was cheap price, not because you had an open checkbook, but you've bought out small time farmers. You've made farmers. I mean, I've seen. We went through the farm thing back in the '80s where it decimated all your small time, all your small farmers. You could not. Uh, Before the farm crisis happened, you could own 100 acres, 150 acres, and do just fine and have a great life and have some money to spare. But after the farm crisis, you had to own 300 acres easily. And there you might be scraping by, because if you're trying to run cattle and stuff like that, now you're going to figure out, you're squeezing that into a couple acres and everything else. I mean, you had to work yourself to the bone to make ends meet. But why are these corporations owning so much farmland? It's to literally take over. And again, this money system, it has allowed this to happen, because if you actually were to back this up with gold or other precious metals, it's not really worth that money. And the money thing is all an illusion anyway, but which most everything's illusion. But I got way off topic on a lot of different things there. But yeah, anyway, Gen Xers, we're going to take over here. Of course, they're slow walking the paperwork from the FBI, the background checks, the ethics committee reviews and stuff like that, to hurry up this process of getting these people through these committees and get to the floor vote to, starting January 20th. They could technically vote that evening on some of these cabinet picks. They could, but they're not going to be able to. I know I heard Mr. Grassley talking. He's kind of mad about how they're slow walking all this stuff. They've last time in 2017 he was in the judiciary, and he said he got really mad about how the paperwork got handled, and it ended up, they weren't getting people into committees until mid to late February. So, and that's really bad. I mean, you want to expect your president to do his job. He needs his advisors there on site doing their job, not having to worry about going through these damn hearings. It's all for naught anyway. There's no real reason you have to go through this process to start off with. But here we are. We're doing it again. Touch a little bit on the H-1B visas. Big thing came up. Of course, we haven't heard anything from Vivek. Vivek's been silent, and he says, we need this because Americans are more or less, we're lazy. No. We tend to want to work, our 40 hours, some of us 50, 60 hours, whatever. We want to have relaxation time. It's one thing about Americans, especially Gen X and whatnot, even getting into the boomers. We work hard so we can play hard, or we work hard so we can sit at home, watch some of this stuff on TV, hopefully not TV, but stay up to news on real news, and play some video games, relax, and then go back to work. We like to grind. You know, that kind of rubbed me wrong too. Hopefully it did you also. But a lot of more people are doing more digging on these H-1B visas. Again, we're letting in a whole bunch of people that don't need to be here, mainly from India, taking up these jobs that, you know what, I can do those jobs. You're bypassing Americans that could take these jobs for foreigners that are here on a work visa. Uh, They've done a lot of digging. We found that a lot of these jobs are just stupid jobs that they're actually doing. A bunch of them are becoming Uber drivers, because it all has to be kept track of in the system for, you know, where they're actually located, who they're working for, how much money they're making. But, you know, here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people they pulled up, H-1B visas, starting in the end of last year, October and September, but they're all for Panda Express, like a training leader. You think somebody that's been maybe born here, raised here, you don't think that they could take that job? I mean, the one in Rossfield, Ohio, pays $75,000 a year, roughly. You mean we're allowing this person to come in from a foreign country to take an American person's job? Again, goes along with the deportation stuff. I'm all in favor. And if I was in DC, I'd be saying it, and probably could be half the reason why I'm not on hardly any platforms. Keep getting mad, but we're done. What I would say to Donald Trump, and Tom Homan would probably agree with this, is, you know what, we're done. I know we're a land of immigrants, but for the next couple of years, we're locked, we're closed. We're not open for business anymore. You don't get any here for visas, especially work visas. I'm tired of the work visas. We have plenty enough Americans here that are unemployed. We've screwed up the economy so bad that we're importing workers to take over. You wonder why we have homelessness. This is why. You know, people can't afford to have a job when they can't get a job because you're giving it to foreigners or illegals, which we've seen with the job reports the whole time underneath Joe Biden. All these job reports, there's been a net loss of American-born workers under Joe Biden. All of the jobs went to migrants, so-called migrants, illegal aliens. They are illegal. You did not go through any process, and you're not here seeking asylum, because there's only 2 countries that can seek asylum technically can seek asylum in the United States, and that's from a Canadian or a Mexican. And most of these people are coming from Mexico when they speak Chinese. So we need to. It all just needs to stop. We're sick of it. We want it to, and I get it. I'm from immigrants too. I get that, but our ideology in this nation is changing so much because of we're importing so many people that don't have or don't want to assimilate to what the American dream actually was. For 200, we'll go 30 years. I know we're coming up on 250, but I'm going to go 230 years. Most people that came in here, legal or illegally, wanted the same thing. That was the American dream. I mean, they wanted to not make your life hard. They wanted to come in here and make that American money. Get to work, start grinding away in the factories or some of the trades and stuff like that, and give back to society. You learned the English. It didn't matter if you're from Italy, you were from Russia, you were from Mexico. You learned English because you wanted to assimilate in with everybody. But we've had so much of this push of illegals, and then they get rights somehow over American citizens that we now have to press one for English here in the United States. Something I pushed for a long time ago. I remember talking about this even back in the 90s, was that it needs to be somehow put in, even as a constitutional amendment, that our native language is American. We'll call it English. Um, we're American because, well, we have so many damn words in our dictionary that it's not even English anymore. We have Latin words, we have uh, French words, Spanish words, all mixed together into weird stuff. I mean, well, we got Native American here, we've got Asian. It's all in our American language. So, but again, we should be importing these people just to do more and more. Let's give a shout out to all these people out in California. These fires are terrible. Oh, that's just a mess out there with the no water in the fire hydrants. We've blocked off any attempt to get the reservoirs full for fish that they haven't seen in over a decade in the wild. So, great news for Trump doing the whole getting this kind of a deal made there in Israel. More to come on that. We'll see what happens. So far, Trump is already keeping his promises before he even gets to office. It's wonderful. The Trump effect is in full effect. Won't be long. We're 5 days away from him being inaugurated. Hopefully, the rest of these couple of days go great. There could be so many black swan events that could happen between now and 12 p.m. Eastern time on January 20th. So we will hopefully just everything will work out great. We'll keep our fingers crossed. I just want to say, keep everybody in your prayers for the people that are in North Carolina. Bless your part there. It's getting wintertime here, so. And to the people affected by the fires out in California, sorry, not sorry. It sucks. You guys got a terrible governor. So with that, I will say goodbye. I will say God bless to everybody, and God bless America. Thank you.